The galaxy was not free. For centuries, it had lived under the shadow of the Dravic dominion, an alien empire that ruled with iron claws. Their ships darkened skies, their soldiers crushed rebellions, and their name alone was enough to silence entire worlds. To the weak and the broken, the Dravic were gods. To the brave, they were monsters. On a small trade station near the edge of the galaxy, whispers filled the air. Merchants, smugglers, and travelers gathered in quiet corners, speaking in low voices. They had heard the same rumor carried from system to system like a disease. Something has moved in the dark. A ship, not Dravic, not any empire we know. The listeners leaned in close, fearful but hungry for the truth. One alien trader, old and scarred, shook his head. No, not just a ship. They say it is human. The room fell silent. Humans. A word that had almost become myth. Generations ago, humans had fought the Dravic. They had resisted when others bent their knees. But the war had ended in silence. The Dominion claimed humanity was crushed, scattered, broken forever. Most believed it, but now whispers said otherwise. They say a human warship was seen in the outer rim, the trader continued. Bigger than any Dravic dreadnought. Black steel, guns like mountains. One ship against a fleet, and the fleet fell. The others shook their heads in disbelief. No one could stand against the not even gods themselves. But in their eyes, fear flickered. Fear that the rumor was true, tot far away, in a quiet sector of space. The truth was revealed. The stars rippled, and from the darkness, a massive shape emerged. It was a battleship, its hull stretched for kilometers, plated in black steel scarred by past wars. Cannons lined its sides like teeth, glowing faintly as if hungry. Engines burned blue, leaving trails across the void. Its name was carved into the steel, iron will. This was no myth, no ghost. Humanity had returned. Inside the ship, the crew moved with silent discipline. Soldiers patrolled the halls. Engineers kept ancient machines alive. Pilots sat ready in their stations. The entire vessel breathed like one living beast. At its heart stood Captain Adrian Voss. He was tall, scarred, and his eyes were as cold as the void outside. He had lived through the fall of colonies, the burning of cities, and the lies of the Dravic. He had sworn that one day humanity would rise. Again now, that day had come. Status report, he said calmly. Engines stable. Weapons primed. Long-range scans detect Dominion patrols in nearby systems, his officers replied. Voss nodded. His voice was quiet, but it carried weight. Good, let them see us. Across the galaxy, the Dominion felt the ripple. On the throne world of the Dravotes, their overlords hissed and snarled as messages reached them. Fleets destroyed. Patrols lost. Survivors babbling about a single ship, a human ship, that tore through them like fire through paper. The Dravic did not believe at first. But then more reports came, and more. The galaxy trembled with rumor. Back on the trade station, news spread. Faster than light, a drunken smuggler slammed his drink down. It's true. My cousin saw. It said the battleship appeared out of nowhere and tore apart a Dominion fleet. He swore it had guns that fired faster than lightning. The listeners gasped. Fear twisted into something else, something dangerous, hope, but hope was fragile. Another voice, harsh and angry, spat into the floor. Fools, if the Dravic hear you, they'll burn this station to ash. They'll crush every world that whispers of humans. Silence fell again. For in the galaxy ruled by the Dominion, even hope was dangerous. But hope was already spreading. On mining worlds, slaves whispered about the iron will. On farming colonies, workers prayed to see its shadow. On military outposts, soldiers questioned their loyalty to the Dominion. The galaxy had lived in fear for too long. Now it trembled for another reason. A week later, the Dravik sent a fleet to hunt the Iron Will. They believed one ship could not face many. They laughed at the thought of humanity standing again. But when their fleet entered the system, their laughter died. The battleship was waiting, silent, unmoving, watching them. Its guns turned slowly, locking onto its prey. On the command deck of the Dominion flagship, the alien admiral snarled, "One ship. This is all. End this myth. Destroy them." But in the hearts of his soldiers, something else stirred. Something they had not felt in centuries. Fear, because deep inside, every alien remembered the stories their ancestors had tried to forget. Stories of humanity, how humans had never surrendered, how humans had built ships of fire, how humans had made gods bleed, and now a battleship named Iron Will had returned to remind them. The sky lit up as the first volley fired. The Dravok fleet opened with beams of golden energy. The Iron Will's shields flared, absorbing the storm. Then calmly, the battleship answered. One shot, just one. A railgun shell, glowing like a falling star, tore through the void. It slammed into the nearest Dominion cruiser. The ship shattered instantly, breaking apart in a storm of fire. The galaxy trembled, and for the first time in centuries, the Dravok realized the truth. The humans were back. Asterisk arrival of the Leviathan, the Dominion had always been sure of one truth. No one could face them. But now, as the Iron Will stood against their fleet, that truth cracked. The first Dravok cruiser had already fallen, torn apart in seconds by the battleship's railgun. Its burning wreckage drifted across the void. A silent warning to the others. The Dravok admiral growled, his scaled lips curling into a snarl. One shot means nothing. Kill them. The Dominion fleet unleashed a storm of golden energy beams. The void lit up like a second sun, the fire merging into a wall of destruction. The Iron Will vanished inside the blaze. On the Dominion bridge, the crew hissed with satisfaction. No ship could survive that, one whispered. But then the fire cleared, and the battleship still stood. Its shields glowed blue, battered but unbroken. Its cannons hummed as they charged again. Its engines flared, pushing it forward slowly, like a predator stalking prey. The Dravik soldiers froze. The admiral's claws dug into his throne. This is impossible. Inside the Iron Will, Captain Adrian Voss stood calm at the center of the command deck. Reports came in rapid fire. Shields at 70%. Railguns reloaded. Missile bays locked. His officers waited for his command, their eyes filled with tension. The enemy outnumbered them 10-1, but Voss's expression never changed. "They believe we are weak," he said quietly. "Let's show them what humanity builds for war. Fire." The Iron Will roared. Dozens of railgun shells shot out, glowing like meteors. Swarms of missiles streaked into the enemy formation, their trails carving bright lines across the dark. The Dravik ships scrambled to defend themselves, shields flaring. But human weapons were merciless. The first volley tore through 3 cruisers, ripping them apart in brutal explosions. Another Dominion ship tried to flank the battleship, but the Iron Will's point defense cannons shredded it before it could. Fire, the galaxy trembled again. News spread fast. Across nearby systems, civilian ships picked up fragments of the battle. Traders sent frantic messages. Miners stopped their drills. On farming colonies, people gathered around old radios, listening. To the impossible story, they're saying, a human battleship is fighting the Dominion, and winning. Whole worlds froze in disbelief. Humanity was supposed to be extinct. Yet here they were, carving through the empire that had crushed them. For some, the news brought hope. For others, terror. On the Dominion flagship, panic began to spread. 5 cruisers lost. Our formation is breaking. The human ship is cutting through us. The admiral slammed his staff on the floor, his voice a snarl. Fools, they are only one ship. We are the Dominion. Rally the fleet. But even as he spoke, another explosion shook the void. The Iron Will had cut down another cruiser, its wreckage crashing into its allies. The Dravok were not used to losing. They were not used to fear. But now they felt both. Then the battle shifted. The Iron Will's sensors detected something huge approaching. The air on the command deck seemed to thicken. Officers looked to their captain, their voices low. New contacts, massive signatures, multiple ships exiting FTL. And then space rippled. Out of the dark came shapes so large they blotted out the stars. Golden hulls, bristling with weapons. Ancient runes glowing across their frames. The Dominion had called for reinforcements. DREADNOUGHTS. Each was a Leviathan in its own right, warships, large enough to glass entire planets, their cores burning with power drawn from the hearts of stars. The Iron Will, for all its size, now looked small. On the colony worlds listening to the battle, silence spread. If the dreadnoughts have arrived, no one can stand against them, not even humans. Fear crept back into their voices, but inside, the Iron Will, Captain Voss's voice was steady. So they bring their Leviathans, he said. Good. Then we show the galaxy how humans kill gods. The Dominion dreadnoughts advanced, their golden light drowning the stars. Their weapons, hummed with power, ready to erase the human ship in one strike. On the Iron Will, alarms screamed. The crew looked to their captain, their fear barely hidden. Captain, one officer said, if they fire together, we won't survive. Voss's eyes never left the screen. Then we make sure they don't fire together. He raised his hand. Prepare the experimental warheads. The crew froze. Everyone knew about them and Ball. Dangerous weapons humanity had sworn never to use, except at the edge of extinction. This was that edge. Ready to launch. The weapons officer said, his voice shaking. Voss's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. Fire. The first warhead streaked across space, heading straight for the lead dreadnought. The Dominion ship raised its shields, confident in its ancient power. The warhead struck. The explosion was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was a newborn sun, a blast so bright it blinded every sensor, every eye. When it faded, the first dreadnought was gonna nothing left but fire and fragments. Gasps echoed across colonies, outposts, stations. The humans had killed a Leviathan, but the battle was not over. 2 dreadnoughts remained. Their cores glowed hotter, their weapons charged. The Dominion admiral's voice, filled with fury and disbelief, echoed across every channel. You dare strike down the gods. We will burn you, humans. We will burn your entire species, On the Iron Will, Captain Voss's reply was calm and cold. No, you will learn what the galaxy forgot. Humanity bows to no one. The Iron Will's engines roared, surging forward toward the Leviathans. The galaxy held its breath. The battle of gods and men was only beginning. Asterisk clash of titans. The galaxy held its breath. Two Dravic dreadnoughts loomed in the void, each one glowing with golden fire. They were older than empires, built in an age when the Dominion still forged legends. Their runes pulsed with ancient power, their weapons capable of burning worlds. And against them, one ship stood, the Iron Will. Inside the human battleship, alarms screamed. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The first dreadnought's destruction had cost them. Shields were weakened, and energy reserves strained. Lieutenant Mara's voice was sharp. Captain, if both dreadnoughts fire at once, we won't last seconds. Captain. Adrian Voss did not flinch. His eyes were locked on the tactical display. The Iron Will's outline looked small compared to the golden giants. But size meant nothing to him. They believe numbers and fear make them gods, Voss said quietly. We'll teach them what humanity builds when it refuses to die. He raised his hand. Prepare the main gun. All power to the core. The Dravic dreadnoughts moved as one. Their weapons glowed brighter, forming spheres of golden energy. The stars themselves seemed to dim, as if even light feared their power. On the Dravic flagship, the admiral snarled. His voice echoed across every channel. Humanity is nothing. This ship will be your tomb. The Iron Will answered with silence. Then its engines roared. The battleship surged forward, straight at the Leviathans. Railguns fired in furious rhythm, shells glowing like burning meteors. Missiles streaked out in swarms, splitting into smaller warheads that hunted their targets. One dreadnought's shields flared under the storm. The first volley tore cracks in its defenses. A second volley ripped deeper. Explosions blossomed across its golden hull. But then the dreadnought fired back. A beam of energy, thick as a mountain, cut across the void. It slammed into the Iron Will's side. The human battleship shook violently. Shields collapsed. Hull plates shattered. Fire tore through the lower decks. Dozens of alarms screamed at once. Shields gone, Mara shouted. We've lost Deck 9. Another officer cried. The bridge filled with smoke and fear. But Captain, Voss's voice stayed calm. Hold the line. On the surface of nearby colonies, people watched the battle through stolen feeds. Whole crowds gathered in silence. Children clutched their parents. Soldiers clenched their fists. Please, one farmer whispered, don't let them fall. The galaxy trembled, waiting for the outcome. Back in the void, the Iron Will struck again. Its railguns found the weak points in the damaged dreadnought. A final volley of missiles pierced its core. The explosion was so vast it shook the stars. The second Leviathan split apart, golden shards tumbling through the dark. The crowd of colonists watching the battle screamed with joy. Whole worlds echoed the same cry. The humans, the humans. But there was no time to celebrate. The last dreadnought remained. The largest, the oldest. Its runes burned brighter than ever, as if fueled by rage. The Dravic admiral's voice thundered across every speaker. You will not take another step. Humanity will be erased here and now. The final dreadnought charged its superweapon. Golden fire built in its core, brighter, hotter, until the void looked like it was on fire. On the Iron Will, Lieutenant Mara turned, pale with fear. Captain, that blast. It could tear us in half. Voss's expression hardened. His voice dropped to a whisper. Then we strike first. Divert everything to the main gun, he ordered. But Captain, that will leave us defenseless, Mara shouted. We won't need defenses if they're ash, Voss replied coldly. The crew obeyed without hesitation. Lights across the battleship dimmed as power bled into the weapon. The main railgun glowed brighter, brighter, until it looked like a star about to be born. The last dreadnought fired. A golden beam, wider than cities, shot across the void. The Iron Will fired too. The two blasts collided in space. For a moment, the void itself seemed to split. Shock waves rippled across the system, shaking asteroids, making planets tremble. The Iron Will groaned under the strain. Hull plates cracked, decks tore apart, flames consumed corridors. Crew members clung to their stations, teeth clenched, refusing to surrender. On colonies far away, people saw the light in the sky and fell silent. They thought it was the end. But then the golden beam began to fade. The human shot pushed forward, piercing through the dreadnought's fire. It struck the giant ship's core. The explosion was blinding. The last dreadnought shattered, breaking apart in a storm of fire and ruin. Its pieces scattered like dying stars across the galaxy. On the Iron Will's bridge, silence filled the air. Smoke curled through the vents. Panels sparked. But they were alive. Mara stared at the screen, eyes wide. We destroyed them, all of them. Captain Voss stood tall, his voice calm as ever. No, we destroyed their lie. The Dominion is not immortal, and today the galaxy saw it. Across the stars, signals carried the news. The humans killed the dreadnoughts. The Dominion lost. One ship defeated the gods. On mining worlds, slaves dropped their chains. On farming planets, workers looked to the sky. On war-torn colonies, soldiers shouted with new courage. The galaxy trembled, but this time not in fear of the Dominion. It trembled because of humanity. The Iron Will drifted among the wreckage, battered but unbroken. Captain Voss looked out at the burning ruins of the dreadnoughts. His voice was a whisper meant for history. Send this message across every star. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity stands. The crew obeyed. The word spread, and the legend of the Iron Will began. Asterisk the breaking of gods. The battlefield was quiet now. Golden wrecks floated through the void, broken pieces of the Dominion's pride. The Dravik dreadnought ships, once called eternal, were nothing but drifting tombs. The Iron Will remained, scarred but standing. Its hull was blackened, its decks burned, but it lived. Humanity lived. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. Signals carried whispers to every star, every colony, every hidden corner of space. The humans destroyed the Dominion fleet. The dreadnoughts fell. The gods are broken. On distant mining worlds, slaves raised their heads for the first time in years. They dropped their tools, their voices shaking with hope. Did you hear? One human ship against them all. If the Dominion can bleed, maybe we can fight too. On farming colonies, workers looked to the sky. Some wept, some cheered. All felt something new in their hearts, courage. And in the halls of alien rulers, fear spread. The Dravik had ruled for centuries with terror. Now their terror was broken. If humans could defeat them, what stopped anyone else from rising? But the Dominion was not silent. In their throne world of Zarathis Prime, The Dravic overlords gathered in fury. Their golden chambers shook with their roars. Impossible, one bellowed. No mortal ship can destroy dreadnoughts. They are myths reborn, another hissed. The humans should be extinct. Their leader, High Overlord Karoth, rose from his throne. His eyes glowed red, his voice a low growl. The humans returned from the grave, he said, and they made the galaxy tremble. This is not victory, this is war. We will crush them before their legend grows. But even in that golden hall, fear lurked. The word human carried weight again. Meanwhile, the Iron Will drifted among the wreckage. Inside, the crew worked to repair systems. Sparks flew, smoke-filled corridors, but their hearts were steady. On the bridge, Lieutenant Mara leaned against her console, still pale but smiling. "We did it," she whispered. "We destroyed gods." Captain Adrian Voss stood tall at the viewport. His face was unreadable, but his eyes burned with quiet fire. "No," he said softly. "We proved there were never gods, only tyrants, and tyrants fall." His words echoed in the silent bridge. The crew listened, their pride swelling. Across nearby systems, smaller alien fleets hesitated. Dominion patrols that once demanded tribute now faltered. They no longer flew with arrogance, they flew with caution. On border worlds, ordinary people dared to stand taller. They whispered the name of the human ship with reverence. The Iron Will, the ship that killed gods. The galaxy trembled still but this time, in awe. But the fight was not over. Scouts reported that fragments of the Dominion fleet had escaped. Survivors fled into deep space, carrying tales of the battle. Some swore revenge, others whispered in terror, warning that humanity was more dangerous than death itself. On the Iron Will, reports poured in, multiple Dominion fleets regrouping. They're rallying near core systems. Dominion propaganda spreading. They claimed the humans used forbidden weapons, unholy powers. Captain Voss listened to every word. He knew what was coming. This was only the beginning, he said. The Dominion won't forget this loss. They will come back, stronger, desperate, and when they do, we will be ready. In hidden corners of the galaxy, other alien races listened. The Tarashi, long enslaved, began to gather weapons in secret. The Vernac, once loyal to the Dominion, debated rebellion. Even the peaceful Serati, who had never fought in a war, whispered prayers to humanity. For centuries, the galaxy had accepted the Dominion's rule. Now, cracks had formed. The humans had shown that gods could be broken. On New Terra, the colony that had first sent a distress call, the people celebrated for days. They lit fires, they sang songs, they carved the name Iron Will into stone. Children played war games, pretending to be Captain Voss, shouting, "No gods, no masters, humanity stands." The Dominion had wanted fear. Instead, they had created a legend. But legends are dangerous. In the dark of space, a transmission echoed. It was faint, broken, but clear enough for the Dominion to hear it. Was Captain Voss's voice carried across stars. Humanity kneels to no one. We will never bow. We will never break. If you call yourselves gods, then remember this gods can die. The words spread like fire. They reached rebels, slaves, rulers, and tyrants alike. Some heard hope, some heard warning. All felt the shift. The balance of the galaxy had changed. On the throne world, High Overlord Karoth slammed his claw against his throne, his voice shaking the golden chamber. The galaxy believes the humans are strong. We will show them the truth. Prepare the armadas. Let the stars burn. We will erase this legend before it grows. But even as he spoke, doubt lingered in his heart, because deep down, he knew what the galaxy now feared most. Humanity was back, and they had only begun. Asterisk, the lesson of power the galaxy was no longer the same. For centuries, the Dravic Dominion had ruled with fear. But fear had changed sides. The iron will floated among the wreckage of dreadnoughts, scarred but alive. Its victory was already spreading across the stars like fire on dry grass. Entire worlds whispered the same words. The humans are back. On border colonies, enslaved races looked to the sky with hope. Miners put down their chains. Farmers lifted their heads. Soldiers of conquered worlds clenched their fists. If one human ship can do this, they whispered, then the Dominion can bleed. The galaxy trembled not with submission, but with awakening. But in the throne world of Zerethis Prime, fury burned. The Dravak High Overlord, Karith, sat on his golden throne, claws digging into the armrest. Around him, lesser overlords roared. With rage, they shame us, one hissed. The humans must be erased, shouted another. Karith silenced them with a glare. His voice was deep, heavy with venom. This legend cannot be allowed to grow. If the galaxy believes humans are strong, rebellion will spread. Armadas must move at once, burn every colony, crush every whisper. But even as he spoke, doubt crawled. In his chest, the memory of destroyed dreadnoughts haunted him. Meanwhile, aboard the Iron Will, the crew worked to repair their ship. Fires were put out, broken decks sealed, weapons reloaded. They were battered, but not broken. Lieutenant Mara approached Captain Adrian Voss. Her voice was low, almost trembling. Captain, what happens now? We defeated them here, but the Dominion is vast. They will come with everything they have. Voss stood by the viewport, his eyes fixed on the stars. His expression was calm, his voice cold. Then let them come, he said. Let the galaxy watch. Every time they send their fleets, we will break them, and the galaxy will learn the truth. The truth spread faster than light, across space. Recordings of the battle were replayed, human cannons tearing apart golden ships, dreadnoughts exploding, and the final message of Captain Voss, humanity kneels to no one. Gods can die. To the oppressed, those words were fire. To the Dominion, they were poisoned on a mining world. A young alien slave stood tall for the first time in years. He whispered to his people, "We are not alone. The humans fight, and we can fight too." On a hidden rebel base, commanders debated. The humans had done the impossible. Maybe it was time to rise again. And in the quiet halls of neutral species, rulers asked themselves the same question. If the humans can destroy dreadnoughts, what will they do next? The Dominion tried to fight back with propaganda. They spread lies. The humans are demons. They used forbidden weapons. They are monsters, not saviors. But the lies did not matter. The galaxy had seen the truth with its own eyes. One night, as the Iron Will drifted through deep space, the crew gathered in silence. Their bodies were exhausted, their uniforms torn, but their eyes glowed with pride. Captain Voss walked among them. He did not speak often, but now his words carried across the halls. Generations ago, the Dominion called us weak. They claimed humanity was broken, scattered, erased. But here we stand. One ship, alone, against their empire. We are not the ones who trembled. His crew straightened, their hearts burning. "This ship is not just steel," he continued. "It is proof. Proof that humanity rises when others fall. Proof that no tyrant, no empire, no so-called God can make us kneel." He raised his hand, his voice sharper than steel. "Remember this. Humanity does not ask for mercy. Humanity does not bow. Humanity makes empires fall." The crew erupted in cheers. The sound echoed through the ship like thunder. The next day, the Iron Will sent out a single transmission. It was carried across thousands of systems, bouncing from world to world until every race heard it. The message was simple. The voice was cold and steady. The galaxy trembled the day humanity's battleship arrived, and it will tremble again until every chain is broken. The galaxy listened. On slave worlds, the oppressed began to fight. On neutral planets, leaders questioned their alliances. And even within the Dominion itself, cracks began to show. Soldiers whispered in secret. Citizens wondered if their gods were false. The balance of power was breaking. High Overlord Karith watched the spread of rebellion. With burning rage, he slammed his claw against the throne and hissed to his generals, "Then we will erase them. We will bring fire to every star they touch. Humanity will regret ever rising." But in his heart, he knew the truth. The humans had already changed the galaxy. Even if the Iron Will was destroyed, the legend would remain, and legends could not be killed. The Iron Will drifted onward, its engines burning against the endless dark. Captain Voss stood at the viewport, his reflection framed by stars. The galaxy was trembling, not because of the Dominion, not because of fear, but because humanity had returned, and their lesson was clear.